Hello people, today I'm going to try and make a dress only off some reference photos that I took of my sister's dress.
Hello people! Whoa!
Fabric. That's heavy. That is heavier than you expect it to be.
Here it is.
That's nice, but it's also very thin. That may be exactly what I want. This is what I want to make into a shirt. Pink. It's a very not nice fabric, but it's a nice pink.
Go turn soup. Bella, why can't you say your own soup?
You put these.
Me.
You put these
In what upset soup did you put it on?
A lesson in older siblinging. You ask them to do a job that you don't want to do, but you could do. And then you ask them to do a job that they would not like to do, instead of doing the other job. They will do the first job you want them to do. Step the next one. Try and figure out how you're going to make it. That is the hard bit.
And these are the photos I have to work off. Photos of the skirt and photos of the bodice. First I made a lining out of white fabric and then I stitched them together with very loose running stitches and tried them on and cut them out again and tried them on until they fit me perfectly.
I am a model, like modelling agencies. I'm not going to tell you I'm a model.
Then I pinned all of the lining pieces to the fabric and traced them so that I had the outside of the bodice. I then tried it on to make sure everything fit before I sewed it all together. I have left a gap at the back for where I'm going to lace it up. I then hemmed the bottom to make it all even and also make a more robust area for where I'm going to sew the skirt on. For anyone interested, because editing this video I just realised I haven't shown you the shape of the pieces I used to make the bodice. These are the shapes I used to make the bodice. You duplicate them, so you get two of this and two of this, and this edge sews to this edge of the other piece, and these edges sew together. Then you lace up against this edge, if that makes sense. These two become a point at the top, and that, yeah. Now that I've made the bodicey bit, like the top bit, I need to make the skirt. That's going to be harder because I don't think I have enough fabric to make the skirt. Some quick googling and a few YouTube tutorials later, I have decided to make myself a handkerchief hem skirt, which is basically a square or rectangle with a hole cut in the middle for your waist. I originally made the waist too big, so I had to sew it smaller on my machine. I also hemmed the waistline before I sewed it onto my bodice. This is me taking in the waist that I had originally made too big on the skirt. When they lined up, I then sewed and pinned them together before I could sew up the back and put the lacing in. I then ironed, folded and sewed along two long bits of fabric to make the noodle straps for my dress. I turned them the right side out, which was very hard, and then ironed my bodice. I then used safety pins to thread the lace through that I was going to use to thread through the eyelets to decide where I wanted the eyelets to be at the back of my dress for lacing up. This is me realising it actually looks good this way round, and maybe I should make a dress like this one day to wear over a shirt. Then I made sure everything fit perfectly before I sewed the straps into place and punched holes for the eyelets. These are the safety pins I used to pretend they were eyelets, and then I also used safety pins to attach the straps on in the right places. I then sewed along the entirety of the top edge of my bodice, one to make sure that the white never poked through, and two to sew on the straps, which I should have sewn onto the inside of the bodice beforehand, but for some reason I did not. This is me inserting the little eyelets at the back of my dress. I'm not sure if I did it right at all, because I don't think we have the correct equipment for this size of eyelet. Basically, I just cut a hole in the fabric with my little tiny scissors and then put in an eyelet and smacked it with a hammer. They didn't look very nice, they were all kind of squiffy and they were quite sharp at the back, so I decided just to sew around each individual one. One, because it looks a lot nicer, and two, because they were very sharp at the back and I didn't want that scratching me the whole time I was wearing it. I then laced it up, hemmed any edges, and that was the dress pretty much finished. I originally did this not so great reveal in my bedroom, so I've decided to refilm it. Here you go. And here are some photos Ali took during a photo shoot we did where I was wearing this dress. And if you're interested in seeing any more snazzy photos, check out my Instagram. Thank you.
This is how I look. Bella, you need to put these in the video because these are going to be quality. Hello. Be all today. Thank you for coming to Bella's TED Talk.